They don't hate you because you failed. They hate you because you didn't. The truth is plain. The chosen ones have outlasted the whispers, outwalked the betrayals, and outshined every trap laid in the dark. The silence around you now, that's not peace. That's the heavy quiet that comes when enemies realize they've lost the battle, and the one they tried to break is still standing, stronger, sharper, and untouchable. You didn't need to scream for dominance. You earned it by surviving the storm, and that survival has turned you into the boss they can't ignore. Look around. Do you feel it? The way they lower their voices when you enter the room, the way their eyes dart yet refuse to meet yours, the way conversations stop just a second too late. That isn't coincidence. That's fear dressed as indifference. That's envy trying to wear the mask of apathy. Psychologists say the traits that trigger people most are the traits they secretly crave. Your strength, your resilience, your refusal to fold. Those are qualities they don't possess, and every reminder of you rubs salt into that wound. They thought you'd be crushed under the weight of their gossip, their rejection, their silent games. Instead, you turned every cut into armor. You walked through their schemes and still rose, and that's what cuts them the deepest. They didn't just lose control over you, they lost the narrative. And nothing is more terrifying to an enemy than watching their target turn into the leader of the story. Chosen one, pause for a moment and pay this energy back. Press that like button and subscribe. Every single action strengthens this voice, this message, and this mission we share. Thank you for standing with me in it. Now, let's dive deeper, because this isn't just about attention. It's about dominance. You didn't stumble into this power by accident. The universe carved it into you through sleepless nights, heartbreak, betrayal, and the weight of being misunderstood. And what happens now? Those same trials that almost ended you are now the very proof that you belong at the top. You became the boss, not by talking about it, but by living through what would have killed others. Let me remind you of something they'll never admit. People study you in secret. They copy your words, your style, your moves, while pretending they don't notice you. They refresh your page, replay your stories, check who's around you, all while claiming you don't matter. Why? Because obsession always hides behind denial. They couldn't stop your rise, so now they sit in the shadows, watching, hoping you'll slip, because they know they can't catch up. Think back to your past, the times they laughed at you for dreaming too big, the nights they counted you out, the mornings you walked in with nothing but your name and your will. Remember how small they tried to make you feel. Compare that to now. Look at the shift. The same people who once brushed you off are the ones whispering about you, asking questions, trying to figure out how you did it. That's the closure the universe delivers. The tables turned, not through revenge, but through undeniable results. And here's the fact that hurts them most. You never needed their approval. You never needed their permission. While they wasted years circling in the same mediocrity, you were building, evolving, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Now you stand here, the atmosphere bending to you, the energy changing when you arrive. They don't admit it out loud, but deep down they know you are the boss now. Heavy lies the crown, but it fits perfectly when you were born to wear it. And though it weighs on you, it also fuels you, because every tear, every scar, every sleepless night was a down payment on this moment. And now, when they look at you, they don't just see success. They see a mirror reflecting what they'll never be. That's what triggers them. That's what makes them restless. And that's why they'll never stop talking about you, even when they pretend they've moved on. So lean in, chosen one. Because this story isn't finished, it's just getting started. What we're about to unfold will not only expose why your rise unsettles them, but also reveal the deeper psychology behind your dominance. You flipped the script without permission, and now they're scrambling to understand the rules of a game you already won. So here's the moment of truth. Are you really ready to see why your dominance has them so pressed, so triggered, and so restless in their own skin? If you've felt the shift, if you've noticed the silence, the stares, and the envy, then you already know this isn't random. Drop a comment below with the number 777 if you're ready to own what you've become. The one who flipped the script, the one who made them question their place, the one who walks into the room and sets the tone without saying a word. And don't just watch from the sidelines, press that like button, subscribe, and stay connected, because this isn't just a video, it's a movement. Every action you take here strengthens the message and sends it back out into the universe louder than before. And now, let's get into it step by step. Pay close attention, because if you truly are the chosen one, you'll feel every word pull at you like it was written just for you. You'll see the patterns, you'll recognize the signs, and by the end, you won't just understand why they're triggered, you'll own it fully. Let's dive in. Number 1. You walk in, they bow without a word. Respect isn't requested, it's commanded, and nothing unsettles an enemy faster than realizing they're standing in the shadow of someone who doesn't even have to try. The moment you step into a room, the air changes. They feel it before you even speak. It's not about what you wear, how loud you are, or how many people clap for you. It's the unshakable weight of your presence, the authority that radiates from you without permission. That's why they're triggered. That's why they whisper, because your silence carries more impact than their loudest screams. They'll never admit it out loud, but you expose them without even trying. Your aura doesn't just fill a room, it rearranges it. Suddenly, their fake confidence starts to crack, their masks slip, their voices tremble. Why? Because you embody the very thing they spend their lives chasing, certainty. And here's the fact they choke on: you didn't buy it, beg for it, or copy it. You built it. Every scar, every betrayal, every moment you refused to bow down carved this presence into you like stone. That's why they can't touch it. Ask yourself this: why do they always watch you from the corner of their eyes? Why do they suddenly get quieter, shift their weight, or avoid direct contact when you show up? It's because deep down, they recognize the hierarchy, and it's not in their favor. People instinctively know when the boss walks in. They may not want to say it, but their bodies betray them. Authority isn't announced, it's felt, and your aura tells the truth before your mouth ever does. Here's the part that really stings them. Your power doesn't come from noise, it comes from composure. They run around, scrambling for approval, desperate to be seen, fighting to be validated by crowds that don't even care. Meanwhile, you stay still, grounded, calm, and yet all eyes end up on you. That's the kind of authority they'll never understand, because they believe influence is about who shouts the loudest. You've proven it's about who moves the least, yet shifts the most. Picture this. A lion doesn't need to announce it's a lion. Its mere presence sends every animal in the jungle into a state of alert. That's you, the chosen one, the predator of mediocrity, the reminder to every weak soul that their borrowed confidence crumbles in the face of real power. And that, right there, is why they despise you. Not because you hurt them, not because you said something cruel, but because your aura makes them confront a truth they'd rather bury. You are everything they pretend to be. But let's go deeper. Why is it so triggering for them? It's simple. Your presence is a mirror. It reflects back their insecurities, their cowardice, their laziness, their wasted years. They look at you and suddenly remember every excuse they made, every opportunity they threw away, every moment they chose comfort instead of courage. Your aura doesn't just scream authority, it exposes mediocrity, and people hate mirrors when they don't like their own reflection. Here's a story you'll recognize. Remember the times you were underestimated, the jobs where they ignored you, the circles where they laughed at you, the relationships where they doubted you. They thought you'd stay small. They thought you'd keep apologizing for existing, but you didn't. You took every slight, every dismissal, every backhanded comment and forged it into steel. Now, when you walk in, they don't just see you, they see every mistake they made in betting against you. That's what authority feels like. It's revenge without a single word spoken. Now, let's answer what might already be circling in your mind. But if my aura is this strong, why don't they just respect it? Because respect requires humility, and enemies don't have that. Enemies choke on the idea that you're untouchable. They'd rather turn their envy into gossip than admit they admire you. That's why their words are filled with venom. That's why they whisper about you late at night. Because it's easier to smear your name than admit your name carries more weight than theirs ever will. Authority doesn't beg. Authority doesn't explain. Authority doesn't shrink itself so others feel bigger. And that's exactly what you embody. That's why they're rattled. You're not arrogant. You're certain. And certainty is rare. Most people live life unsure, waiting for approval, afraid to make a wrong move. But you radiate with the confidence of someone who knows they've already survived worse than anything these enemies could ever throw. That's what breaks them. Think of authority like gravity. You don't see it, you don't touch it, but you feel it every second. Your aura works the same way. It pulls people in, even when they resist. It shapes the atmosphere without being asked. And just like gravity, it reminds everyone in the room of their place. The weak try to fight it, but they can't. That's why their laughter sounds forced, their bravado feels empty, and their shade always falls flat. They're fighting a law of nature, you. And here's the closure you deserve to hold on to. This aura wasn't handed to you. It's not luck, it's not chance, it's not coincidence. It's the reward for standing when everything tried to break you. You are living proof that authority isn't about titles or followers or money. It's about resilience. Every time you refused to quit, your aura grew. Every time you walked away from noise and chose focus, it sharpened. Every time you turned pain into progress, it solidified. That's why it terrifies them, because they know they can't fake what you've earned. So let them talk, let them whisper, let them scramble for relevance. At the end of the day, the room bends to you. You don't need their acknowledgement to prove it. You already know who you are. You walk in, and whether they admit it or not, they bow. If not physically, then in spirit. That's dominance. That's presence. That's the aura of the chosen one who has finally embraced the truth. You are the boss now, and they'll never stop being triggered by it. Number 2, respect doesn't knock, it breaks the door down. Respect doesn't wait for an invitation. It walks in, sits at the table, and dares anyone to move it. Here's the hard truth. Respect isn't something you request with polite words. It's not a favor people hand out like charity. Real respect is claimed, commanded, and stamped into the atmosphere through how you carry yourself. And the chosen ones know this truth better than anyone. Your respect doesn't come from raising your voice, flashing your achievements, or begging for acknowledgement. It comes from the quiet but undeniable certainty in your walk, your tone, your silence. You don't have to ask for respect. Your presence takes it. Think about it. Why do people lean in when you speak, even when your words are simple? Why do conversations pause when you enter the room? It's not because you demanded attention. It's because you've built yourself into someone who doesn't need permission to be seen. Respect is magnetic, and you've become the force it can't resist. Confidence whispers louder than arrogance ever shouts. Imagine this. A soldier walks into a village after years of battle. He doesn't brag, he doesn't raise his weapon, he doesn't even speak. Yet every villager turns their head, not out of curiosity, but out of recognition. They know what he's endured. They feel the weight of his survival. That's you. You've carried battles no one saw, and the respect you command now is the echo of your victories. Enemies don't see the details, they just see the aura. And that aura tells them without question that you've already won wars they couldn't even survive the first night of. But let's break this down further, because you may be asking yourself, why does this respect I carry trigger people so badly? The answer is simple. They're addicted to begging. Most people only know respect through approval. They fight for claps, for likes, for followers, for someone to finally say, "Good job." They think validation is proof of value. Meanwhile, you decided long ago that you are enough without it. And that decision, the refusal to beg, cuts them deeper than a blade. When you stop chasing applause, you become the performance everyone can't stop watching. Imagine this. Two singers stand on stage. One is screaming for the crowd's approval, desperate to be heard, sweating under the weight of their own need. The other stands still, lets the silence breathe, and delivers a single note so sharp it shakes the room. Who do people respect more? Not the one fighting for it, but the one who already owns it. That's you. The chosen ones don't need the noise. They carry their own stage, their own spotlight, and their own thunder. Respect flows toward you like rivers toward the sea because you've built a gravity around yourself, and that's why they're mad. They can't figure out how you do it. They mistake your silence for weakness, but it's the opposite. You don't talk to be heard. You talk because you have something worth saying, and when you don't talk, your silence still cuts through the room like glass. That's what terrifies them. Your silence is louder than their noise, and they'll never forgive you for it. Let's get personal. Remember those times in your past when you had to prove yourself again and again, and still they doubted you. Remember when they disrespected you because you didn't fit their mold, didn't bow to their rules, didn't chase their crumbs of approval. Look where you are now. You don't just have respect, you've become respect. You don't chase it, you embody it. And the irony, the same people who once mocked you now bite their tongues in your presence. That's not just growth, that's dominance. But here's the question you might still be wrestling with. If respect comes naturally now, why can't they just accept it and move on? The answer? Because it exposes their failure. Every ounce of respect you carry reminds them of the years they wasted chasing claps instead of building themselves. It's not just about you, it's about what you represent. You remind them that true power doesn't ask, it takes. And that truth is unbearable for people who've spent their lives begging. Imagine this. a throne in the middle of a crowded room. Dozens fight, claw, and scream to sit on it. Yet you don't even move, and somehow the throne shifts toward you. That's respect. You don't fight for the seat finds you. Respect doesn't come cheap. It isn't handed to you like candy. It's forged in fire. Every trial, every heartbreak, every betrayal where you could have broken but didn't, those were the bricks that built your throne. So when you walk in now and people sense your strength, it's not luck, it's not chance. It's blood, sweat, and scars turned into power. And that terrifies them because it's a currency they can't counterfeit. Respect isn't earned by noise, it's earned by survival. This is why you don't explain yourself anymore. Why should you? Explaining is for those still trying to prove. You're past that stage. You've already proven it through your results, through your presence, through the undeniable shift in how the room bends when you walk in. You've transcended explanation, and that's why they can't stand you. You live at a level where words aren't required, and they're stuck at the level where begging is their only tool. So let them talk. Let them pretend they don't see you. Let them whisper and plot and roll their eyes, because beneath it all, they already bowed the moment you stepped into the room. Respect isn't asked. Respect isn't begged. Respect isn't even announced. Respect is a force. And chosen one, you've become that force. And that's why they're triggered, because in a world full of pretenders begging for claps, you are the reality that silences the room. You are the boss now, and respect has no choice but to follow you. Number 3, you're not competing. You're the standard they chase. The moment you stop competing, you become the ruler of the race, and nothing terrifies them more than realizing the finish line is a person, not a goal. Chosen one, here's what rattles them to their core. You don't play their little competition games. You don't scramble for recognition or beg for a spot in their lineup. Why? Because you're not in the race. You are the race. You became the measure, the yardstick, the blueprint they all copy from, even while pretending they're original. And that's exactly why they can't stand you. Think about it. Why are they so obsessed with your every move? Why do they study your style, copy your words, mimic your choices, then twist their faces like they never noticed you? Because deep down, they know you set the tempo. You built the lane, and once you created your own path, you pulled yourself out of their reach. You're not running alongside them. You're the finish line they'll never cross. Imitation is envy in disguise, and you've become their silent teacher. Imagine this: a classroom full of students scrambling to get the answer right, scribbling, competing, sweating under the pressure. And then there's you, the one they all peek at because you've already solved it. That's how they treat you. You don't chase validation, you embody it. You don't need to prove you're ahead. Their restless eyes prove it for you. But let's answer the thought circling your mind. If I'm the benchmark, why do they act like I don't matter? Because admitting it would crush their pride. They'd rather deny you publicly while privately modeling themselves after you. That's why their energy feels so conflicted, half denial, half obsession. And here's the kicker: they can't rewrite the blueprint when the blueprint is alive, breathing, and untouchable. You didn't just build a throne, you built it to last. They can try to copy your bricks, but they'll never touch your foundation. And that's why they're pressed, because you've proven the only real competition was the old version of yourself, and you already buried that one. So let them scramble, let them mimic, let them wear themselves out, chasing shadows. At the end of the day, chosen one, you don't compete, you dominate. Number 4. Your silence slices deeper than their screams. Silence is the sharpest blade. It cuts clean, leaves no trace, and still makes them bleed inside. Chosen one, this is where the enemy loses their grip. They expect you to shout, to argue, to prove yourself with noise, but you don't. You stay calm, composed, unbothered, and that shakes them more than any words could. Your silence doesn't mean weakness. It means certainty. And nothing unsettles insecure people more than facing someone who doesn't need to explain themselves. Think about it. Why do they lean forward when you're quiet? Why do they study your face, overanalyze your every pause, and second-guess what you're thinking? Because your silence forces them to confront their own chaos. You've turned calmness into a weapon, a mirror that reflects their insecurity back at them. They hate it because they can't control it. Confidence that doesn't speak still drowns out every lie in the room. Imagine this. 2 kings stand in the same hall. One yells orders, stomps his feet, and demands attention. The other sits still, watching quietly, his presence commanding more loyalty than the shouter ever could. Who do the people follow? The one who doesn't need to shout. That's you. Your quiet confidence makes their noise look desperate. And here's the question you might be asking yourself. Why does my silence scare them so much? Because silence leaves space for their imagination, and their imagination is their worst enemy. They start filling in the blanks, wondering what you know, what you're planning, what power you're holding back. They can't predict you, and unpredictability terrifies people who live by manipulation. The calm one is always the most dangerous one in the room. So let them rant, let them scream, let them waste breath trying to prove their worth. Your silence already won. You don't argue with mediocrity, you let it expose itself. And every time you stay quiet, they feel smaller, weaker, and more exposed. Chosen one, never forget, your silence isn't empty, it's loaded, and that's why it cuts them deeper than any word ever could. Number 5. Your victories expose the cracks in their soul. Every time you rise, their excuses collapse. Your success isn't an attack, it's a mirror, and they hate what it shows them. Chosen one, here's the brutal truth. Your wins sting them, not because you've done anything wrong, but because every achievement of yours is a reflection of everything they've failed to do. You don't try to rub it in. You don't parade it in their face. Yet still, your light highlights their shadows. Every step forward you take reminds them of how long they've been standing still. Secure people cheer when others win because they don't feel threatened. But insecure people, they turn your growth into a personal insult. When you climb, they don't see it as proof that greatness is possible. They see it as proof they've wasted their own chances. That's why they can't clap. That's why their smiles feel forced. That's why behind closed doors, their praise turns into envy. Your victories are proof of what they could have been, if only they weren't so afraid. Imagine this. 2 athletes train in the same gym. One gives everything, sweat, pain, sacrifice, and wins the medal. The other skips workouts, blames circumstances, and never improves. When the winner is crowned, does the loser celebrate? No. He sulks because the medal isn't just a prize, it's a reminder of his own laziness. That's exactly what happens when you succeed. And you might ask yourself, why can't they just let me shine without resentment? Because it's easier for them to hate you than to confront their own stagnation. Your success forces them to face the uncomfortable truth that nothing held them back but themselves. Envy is the cheap mask they wear to avoid accountability. Your greatness doesn't offend them, their mediocrity does. So stop carrying guilt for being great. Stop dimming yourself so fragile people can feel safe. Your wins are proof of your resilience, your grind, your survival. If they don't like the reflection, that's their problem, not yours. You are the boss now, and whether they clap or not, your victories will keep shaking their world. Number 6. Their obsession betrays their denial. They don't clap for you in public, but they never miss an episode of your life in private. Chosen one, here's what they'll never admit. They're hooked on you. They act indifferent, roll their eyes, pretend your presence means nothing. But the truth is, in their patterns, they watch your every move like a series they can't stop binging. They refresh your updates, analyze your choices, and talk about you when you're not even in the room. They'll criticize you to others, yet behind closed doors, they study you like a textbook. Their denial can't cover up their obsession. Think about it. Why do they always just happen to know what you're doing? Why do they act shocked at your progress, yet react instantly when you win? Because they're tuned in. They can't look away, no matter how hard they try. You've become their silent addiction, the standard they can't measure up to, the reminder of everything they could be if they stopped making excuses. Obsession is envy wearing a mask of indifference. Imagine this. Someone swears they hate a song, but it's the one they keep replaying in their headphones when no one's around. That's how they treat you. Out loud, they criticize. In private, they replay. You've become the soundtrack they can't delete. And maybe you wonder, why would they spend so much time watching someone they claim to dislike? Because your life represents what they crave, but refuse to chase. You're living proof that excuses are chains, and you broke yours. Every move you make is a reminder that they've shackled themselves. Watching you is easier than changing themselves. They don't admire you in silence because they respect you. They admire you in silence because you expose them. So let them stalk, let them gossip, let them analyze. Their obsession isn't your burden, it's their confession. They can't look away because you've become the mirror they can't smash, the proof they can't erase, the boss they never wanted but can't stop bowing to. Number 7. Your growth haunts their stagnation. They fear you not for who you are today, but for who you'll become tomorrow. Chosen one, success alone doesn't scare them. It's your evolution that keeps them up at night. You're not just winning, you're transforming. While they're busy polishing the same old version of themselves, you've already shed skin, broken limits, and rewritten the rules. That's what terrifies them most. You don't stay the same long enough for them to catch up. Think about it. By the time they've copied your last move, you're already 10 steps ahead. They're playing yesterday's game while you're inventing tomorrow's, and the more you evolve, the more their own stagnation glares back at them. Your growth isn't just progress, it's exposure. It shows them everything they could be if only they weren't afraid to change. Stagnation worships comfort. Evolution thrives in discomfort. Imagine this: 2 trees planted side by side. One stays small, roots tangled, leaves dull, too afraid to grow beyond its safe patch of soil. The other breaks through, branches stretching higher every season, leaves brighter, roots deeper. Which one commands respect? The one that dares to keep evolving. That's you. Your transformation makes their stillness look like failure. And maybe you've asked yourself, Why don't they just focus on their own growth instead of fearing mine? Because evolution demands pain, discipline, and sacrifice, things they avoid at all costs. Watching you change reminds them that they've chosen comfort over courage, excuses over effort. And that truth burns. Growth is a moving target, and you've become impossible to pin down. So let them chase shadows. Let them copy outdated versions of you. Every time you level up, you leave them stranded in the past, still trying to solve the blueprint you've already outgrown. Your evolution is their nightmare, because it forces them to see that while they stay stuck, you're building an empire they'll never touch. That's the real reason they're triggered, not because you've succeeded, but because you refuse to stop. Number 8. Your moves hit like unfiltered truth. Nothing offends a liar more than someone living proof of the truth they've been running from. Chosen one, your actions sting because they don't come wrapped in sugar. You don't water yourself down, you don't disguise your ambition, and you don't shrink to keep others comfortable. Every move you make is raw, blunt, and undeniable. And here's the part that burns them. Your actions reveal what their words can't hide. The only thing holding them back is themselves. Think about it. Why do they bristle when you win? Why do they roll their eyes when you take bold steps forward? It's not the action itself, it's what the action forces them to see. Every time you rise, they're confronted with their excuses. Every time you execute, they're reminded of the plans they talked about but never pursued. You don't just succeed, you expose them. Excuses collapse in the presence of execution. Imagine this. 2 people stand at the base of a mountain. One talks endlessly about climbing, how dangerous it is, how heavy the load feels, how someday they'll reach the top. The other quietly straps on boots and starts walking. By the time the talker finishes explaining, the climber is halfway up the peak. That's you. Your actions slice through the noise like a blade, leaving them choking on their own excuses. And maybe you wonder, why does my ambition bother them so much? Because ambition without apology is rare. Most people water down their drive so they don't make others uncomfortable. But you don't ask for permission. You don't soften the edges. And that's why they resent you, because your blunt progress shows them the life they could have had if they weren't so busy hiding behind fear. Your moves are reminders, and reminders sting the laziest the most. So don't dim your ambition. Don't sand down your sharp edges. Your boldness isn't cruelty, it's honesty in motion. Let your actions keep cutting through the lies, exposing the slackers, and silencing the pretenders. Because every step you take is a truth they can't deny, no matter how loudly they try to cover it. Number 9. You move like a shadow. You hit like a blade. Power that announces itself can be dodged. Power that moves in silence leaves no survivors. Chosen one, this is what breaks them most. You don't broadcast your plans, you execute them. While they waste time showing off half-finished ideas, you stay quiet, build in the dark, and strike only when it's complete. By the time they notice, the damage is done, and you're already 3 steps ahead. That's why your dominance feels untouchable. Think about it. Why do they always seem shocked when you level up? Because they never see it coming. You don't drop hints, you don't seek validation, you don't parade around with empty promises. You vanish into silence, sharpen your weapons, then return with results so sharp they cut through every doubt. That's what makes them fear you. You're unpredictable. Noise is a distraction, silence is strategy. Imagine this. 2 warriors prepare for battle. One bangs drums, shouts threats, and waves his sword to scare the crowd. The other waits in silence, eyes steady, movements hidden. When the strike finally comes, it's fast, clean, and unstoppable. Which one wins? Always the silent one. That's you. They waste time announcing while you waste nothing. And maybe you ask, why does my quiet dominance trigger them so badly? Because it removes their chance to interfere. In silence, you deny them access to your process. They can't sabotage what they don't see. They can't compete with what they don't know. Your silence protects your precision, and your precision makes every move look effortless. Predictable enemies are safe. Unpredictable ones are feared. That's why they call you mysterious, hard to read, impossible to figure out. What they don't realize is, it's not mystery. It's discipline. You've mastered the art of moving when it's time, not when it's noticed. And that discipline makes you lethal in ways they'll never understand. So keep moving in silence. Keep striking with precision. Let them guess. Let them gossip. Let them underestimate. Because when you finally make your move, the room shifts, the air tightens, and the truth hits them all at once. You were the boss the entire time. Number 10. Your freedom shatters their chains. Control only works on the predictable. The moment you refuse their rules, you become their worst nightmare. Chosen one, here's the core reason they're triggered. You can't be controlled. They thrive on predictability, on pulling strings and watching people dance like puppets. But you cut the strings. You don't play their games, follow their scripts, or bow to their fake authority. And that makes you dangerous, because a free mind is the one thing manipulators can't conquer. Think about it. Why do they call you difficult, rebellious, or hard to deal with? Because you don't bend to their system. You don't let guilt trap you. You don't let flattery buy you, and you don't let threats cage you. Your unpredictability keeps them off balance. They can't predict your next move, and that strips them of the illusion of power they hide behind. Uncontrollable people are always labeled the villain until history proves they were the leaders. Imagine this. A chess master expects every piece to move as planned. Pawns forward, knights in patterns, bishops predictable. But then one piece moves in a way he's never seen before. Suddenly, the entire board collapses. That's you. You broke the script, and in doing so, you broke their control. And maybe you wonder, why can't they just accept that I move differently? Because control is their currency. Without it, they feel powerless, and every time you step out of their box, you remind them that their manipulation only works on the weak. That's why they resent you. Not because you're disobedient, but because your freedom exposes their fraud. They can't cage what was born to fly, and that reality drives them insane. So let them scheme, let them label you, let them twist your name into something it isn't. None of it matters, because the truth stands tall. You can't be controlled, and that truth rattles them more than anything else, because deep down they know you're the boss now, and they'll never hold the leash. Number 11. You turn sweat into strategy, they just burn out. Hard work without direction is just exhaustion dressed as effort. Chosen one, this is another truth that triggers them. You've proven that endless grinding isn't the same as mastery. They may brag about their long hours, their late nights, their constant hustle, but when the dust settles, they're still stuck in the same place. You, on the other hand, move with precision. You don't waste energy trying to look busy. You use your energy to move the needle. That difference is what makes you unstoppable. Think about it. Why do they sneer when you succeed faster than them? Why do they whisper about shortcuts as if your wins are somehow less earned? Because deep down, they know it's not shortcuts, it's strategy. While they exhaust themselves chasing approval and grinding blindly, you conserve your power for moves that actually matter. Efficiency is intelligence in motion. Grinding without strategy is slavery to routine. Imagine this. Two builders are told to cut down a forest. One swings his axe non-stop, sweating, panting, proud of his relentless effort. The other takes time to sharpen his blade before the first swing. By the end of the day, who has felled more trees? Not the one who swung the most, but the one who struck with precision. That's you. And maybe you've wondered, why does my strategic approach make them so bitter? Because it shatters their illusion that suffering equals success. They've tied their worth to struggle, so when you achieve more with less chaos, you expose their wasted effort. Your results prove that focus beats frenzy every time, and that burns them. The one who plans 3 steps ahead will always outlast the one who runs in circles. So let them boast about how hard they work. Let them drown in their own noise. You'll keep moving in silence, conserving energy, and striking with accuracy. Because you don't just work hard, you work smart. And that's why you'll always be ahead, leaving them exhausted, bitter, and wondering why the boss never seems tired. Number 12. Your self-reliance is the fortress they can't breach. The one who stands alone stands tallest, because no one else can pull them down. Chosen one, here's the dagger that cuts deepest, your independence. You didn't beg for shortcuts, you didn't wait for handouts, and you never sold your soul for validation. You built yourself from the ground up, brick by brick, mistake by mistake, win by win. And that kind of self-reliance terrifies them. Why? Because it exposes just how dependent they really are. Think about it. Why do they cling to groups, to approval, to borrowed confidence from the crowd? Because they can't breathe on their own. Meanwhile, you've learned to thrive in solitude. You don't need their applause to move. You don't need their approval to shine. And you don't need their network to stand tall. That makes you untouchable. Independence is the purest power because it can't be manipulated, bought, or broken. Imagine this. 2 towers rise in the same city. One leans against the others for support, fragile if even one falls away. The other stands on its own foundation, unshaken by what happens around it. Which one survives the storm? Always the one built to stand alone. That's you. Your independence makes every attack bounce off walls they can't climb. And maybe you ask yourself, why does my independence bother them so much? Because it strips away their favorite weapon, control. People can only manipulate those who depend on them. You've removed that power. They can't guilt you, can't flatter you, can't threaten to take something away, because everything you've built belongs to you. That's why they're restless. The independent one is always the hardest to cage, because freedom is their foundation. So let them whisper about how hard it must be to stand alone. Let them mock your solitude, your grind, your refusal to lean on them. Deep down, they know the truth. You are unshakable because you've built a life that doesn't crumble when people leave. And that makes you dangerous in a way they'll never match. You're untouchable, not because you stand with many, but because you proved you can stand without anyone. Number 13, you turn their storms into your fuel. Chaos doesn't break you, it forges you, and that truth destroys them. Chosen one, this is the power they can't comprehend. They throw storms at you, expecting to see you collapse. They spread confusion, build obstacles, and pray you'll lose your footing. But instead of shattering, you adapt. You don't just survive chaos, you thrive in it. Where they see disaster, you find clarity. Where they see failure, you see opportunity. And that's what terrifies them most. Storms sharpen you instead of stopping you. Think about it. Why do they panic when things get messy? Because chaos strips away their masks. Without structure, they crumble. But you steady yourself, breathe, and let the storm expose what it needs to. While they're flailing, you're planning. While they're crying over problems, you're spotting the opening that turns everything in your favor. That's why no amount of sabotage works. You turn every hit into momentum. Adversity is a battlefield. They lose their weapons in fear. You sharpen yours in fire. Imagine this. 2 ships sail into the same storm. One has a captain screaming, panicked, unsure which way to steer. The other has a captain calm, eyes forward, reading the waves, letting the storm guide him to new shores. Which ship survives? Always the one with steady hands. That's you. And maybe you ask, why does my calmness in chaos trigger them so much? Because it removes their power. Their whole plan depends on your breakdown. When you don't crack, when you don't panic, when you use the very chaos they created to rise higher, it proves they never had control. The storm is their weapon, but it's your classroom. So let them send their confusion, their drama, their storms. Every time you'll walk out sharper, stronger, clearer. And they'll be left speechless, realizing what was meant to destroy you only built the boss they can never defeat. And that brings us full circle, chosen one. Every storm you've endured, every enemy you've rattled, every silent win you've claimed, it all proves the same truth. You are the boss now, and nothing can strip that away. Their envy, their whispers, their chaos, it only feeds your rise. This is your moment to own it fully. If this message hit you, press that like button, subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments to seal it. And don't keep this fire to yourself. Share it, so every chosen one hears the call.